Hello. Good morning, Vietnam. I think that's going to be my new greeting. It feels more and more like a war zone anymore. Welcome to the channel. Hello. My name is Elizabeth, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Today, hello everybody. Come on in. Let's see, we've got created by EJF. Hi, I saw you on Gavin's channel and then watched a bunch of your videos while I worked today. Glad to be here. Well, glad you're here. Welcome. Let's see, we got LS. Hello everyone. Tracy Goggins. Hey, people in the chat. And we have unlocked gifts now. So we've got gifts. So you guys can get rubies, I think is how it works. I'm not really sure. You'll have to check it out and see. Teresa, hello, honey. We've got a really good show this evening. We're going to be listening to the Attorney General's interview with Ben Fields. And I purposefully waited until 7 this evening, so hopefully more people would be able to come and join us and listen, because it's really eye-opening. I also have all the documents that was released with the public records request, and so I have been sifting through those, and we'll look at the indictment and the detective's reports, and we'll be able to read what the detective wrote about these interviews, and you guys let me know what you think. Timely 79, good evening. Karen Weiss, new sub here. Well, but thank you for joining us. Teresa, same. I've been catching up on your videos after meeting you on Gavin's. Well, thank you for being here. Okay. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to go ahead and bring it on up so you guys can listen. This has been such a shocking case. Just every bit of it has just been shocking to me. But I think that the important thing is that none of this would have even come out if Mickey's case if Mickey hadn't have done what he did. None of this stuff would even have come out. So I'm glad that we are finally being able to see the way that investigations are pretty much done down here. And it's not just in this area, because remember, this was the Attorney General's investigation. So, I mean, I know Ben took a plea and he was convicted, but it just doesn't seem like justice was done to me. All right, well, let's get in here and listen to this recording. All right, here we go.
Today's date is February 14th, 2022. It is 1:37. Praise myself, Detective Easter, Detective Blevins with the Attorney General's office. We'll be going to meet a Ben Fields here in Whitesburg. Doing all right, buddy? Makeup. Yeah. good as anybody do nowadays. Like I said, my name's Matt Easter. That's Shannon Evans. We'll get this over with. I get out of your hair and I get out of here. Right off the bat, you don't have to talk to me. You're not under arrest, dude. When I leave here, you are not leaving with me unless you tell me you killed somebody and might have to do something. Other than that, I'm heading out here and you're not, okay?
Can you guys already tell the difference in how he's speaking to Ben as opposed to how he spoke to those women?
Just want to get some information and just pretty much get your side of the story, man, because every story's got two sides. So.
Shame on him.
First, obviously we're talking about the incident here at the courthouse. Could you tell me what you do? What was your title?
Well, I guess I had two. I was court security officer at the district court, and then I've done the house arrest as a side job.
So as court security, were you a sworn officer?
Yes.
So would you be considered an officer or a deputy?
Deputy, I guess, but the training I took was for court security.
Who swore you in? Was it through the sheriff's office or the city?
Sheriff's office.
And you were on the side, you were doing, what was it?
The house arrest.
House arrest. Who's over you at that?
Really nobody. I've got a woman that does the monitoring for me that lets me know when somebody violates and stuff like that.
Who's the woman?
Patty.
Teresa.
Stockham.
I'm going to go ahead and stop this because a couple people's asked who this is. If you're not familiar with what we're doing, this is the Kentucky Attorney General's office. So this is people that are not even from here. They're from like the Capitol or something. And whenever Ned Pillersdorf filed the civil case against Ben and I guess maybe Mickey at the time, but whenever they filed the civil case, it spawned this investigation into Ben, the criminal investigation. And so the Attorney General's office had a detective named Matt Easter. Matt Easter is the one who has conducted all of these interviews that we've listened to. So he has conducted the interviews with the victims, and now he's conducting the interview with Ben Fields. And these interviews were, well, not just the interviews, but this was the investigation that he pled guilty to the charges for the house arrest stuff. So that's what we're listening to. Just let everybody know.
Do you know the company's name? What is it?
East Kentucky Corrections Services Incorporated.
Now, under the court security, were you were paid? Is that a paid job?
Yes.
The house arrest, was that a paid job?
Yes. Yeah, the money I got from it was what people paid for their house arrest.
And who pays you?
The people on house arrest. They pay me.
Explain to me from the get-go. Let's just say, let's say somebody gets out here and gets a DUI.
They go to jail. They get a house arrest bond.
I don't understand.
They have a house arrest bond, and the hookup fee I charged them was $150. And that covered the hookup in the first 7 days. And it was $85 a week after that.
How much?
$85.
$85 a week.
Yep.
So a hookup fee was $150, and then they had to pay an $85 a week fee for their house arrest. And he said that he didn't have anybody that was over him. So he didn't have anybody that was supervising him, is basically what he just said.
So you charge that person that got out of jail that amount,
Yes.
and then what do you do with that money?
Every week I would deposit it into the main company's account.
Ben Fields, some people don't know who Ben Fields is. Okay. So Ben Fields is the deputy that was under Mickey Steins at the sheriff's department. Ben Fields is the one who took Mickey's place working the house arrest and the ankle monitors. And he also took Mickey's place in the courtroom with Judge Kevin Mullins, the one that that Mickey unalived in the judge's chambers. So Ben Fields is the deputy who started this whole mess with inappropriate behavior. Or I should say, him being accused started all of this criminal and civil stuff.
And then what would happen?
Once a month, they would send me a check back of what my portion was.
So they would pay you.
I guess. Long way around.
Did you take some money anytime, like the 85 or the 150, and you just keep that without depositing it? And that's general. That's how you did everybody?
Yes.
Have you ever made an arrest before out of a security officer? Did you answer complaints or?
With the sheriff's office,
Yeah.
I would sometimes ride with him in the system.
Have you ever arrested anybody have you ever been arrested anybody outside the courthouse?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Just trying to get a mind frame of what you do. I'm not from this area, and everybody does stuff different. Like up here where I'm from, the monitoring, that doesn't happen. It's not run that way. So I'm kind of clueless. So I'm just trying to get an idea. So these people that get out and they come to you and they're on this monitoring, are you, and like where I'm from, they get a set of conditions, like you can't go to this place or you can't do this. Are you the overseer of that too?
If somebody violated their house arrest, left without permission or anything of that nature, I would be notified. I guess.
Through Patty.
Yes.
But let's say I get out here and I'm on bond and you're monitoring me and I get arrested for DUI. Do you do anything with that, or is that somebody else that does something with that?
Yeah, I would terminate their contract. Like if somebody was on house arrest, gets caught with a DUI, like you said, and they go to jail, they wouldn't be administratively released because they would be out on bond already. So usually I would just let the judge know, hey, terminate this guy's contract. He's not going to participate on house arrest.
Okay. What happens when you terminate a contract?
They just get removed from the house arrest.
They just get removed?
Yep.
What does that do to their bond, though? I mean, I don't.
If it's for a situation like you stated, they'd be jammed in jail, usually on the same bond, a surety with house arrest.
So you're saying when you break the contract, then and they got caught for whatever reason, I guess, you would notify the judge. What judge is that?
It depends
is
on
it
what
district or circuit.
Well, it depends on what court they was on house arrest out of.
What charge? Okay, difference in charge. Okay.
So you did circuit and district both?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody that had house arrest in Letcher County?
So now we've notified the judge, and then what happens to the person?
That would be up to the court system.
Up to the court. You didn't do anything. You didn't go out and arrest them or anything.
The only time I would go on arrest is if they actually violated or was currently violating their house arrest, left without permission, and if it showed on their GPS where they was at, then I would try to locate them.
You'd go right then and go get them physically.
I would attempt to.
Okay. And that's only if they were outside of the area, you would go try to go find them.
Yes.
But if they were getting caught for something else, that was all up to the judge.
Yes. Like if they got permission, let's say, to go to a doctor's appointment, and during that process, like you said, they get picked up for DUI or something of that nature. Once they make it to the jail, I terminate their contract, cut their bracelet off, and then their bond will be set by the judge.
But did you ever have to go get any kind of paperwork if the judge was not there or anything?
If somebody cut their bracelet off, which is what happened a lot of times, I'd have to go get a warrant for escape.
If they cut their bracelet
If
off.
they cut their bracelet off.
If they didn't, then you would just get them at the jail and take it off.
Yes. Yeah, if they got arrested without cutting their bracelet off, I just cut the bracelet off at the jail.
I just want to make a point. With Ben, Deborah Hart says, with Ben moonlighting this employment and the sheriff not paying his wages, then why is Mickey being held responsible? Well, it says in here that he was always driving the sheriff's deputies' vehicles, and he was always in his deputy uniform. They never saw him in plain clothes. He was always in his sheriff's deputy's uniform. And it was connected directly to the court and the sheriff's department. So I think we're going to find that that's going to factor into that. But you'll also hear something else I want to point out too. He had to have a really big ego, and he had to have a lot of arrogance to sit down with these investigators without an attorney. He doesn't have a lawyer. They met him in like a restaurant parking lot, and he got in their vehicle and had this conversation with them. He did not have an attorney, and at the beginning of this tape, Matt Easter says, "Hey, dude, you don't have to talk to me, you don't have to talk to me." And he still went ahead and talked to him. And you're going to hear as this goes on, it wasn't a very good idea for him to do that.
And I don't know how these bracelets work when you're talking about cutting them off.
They've got a rubber band, I guess, or a plastic band that goes around, and I would cut that actual band.
Okay, so let's say I'm ignorant to this. So I'm the guy that gets out. I come meet you. You give me one of those. Where do you put that?
On your ankle.
Okay. And once it's secured there, I can't take that off.
You can, but you're going to have to cut it or break it off, which will violate your house arrest.
So once you snap that on, is it snaps or how it buckles or?
I've actually got one in my truck if you want to see it.
I will wait here in just a second. You'll show me how to do that because I have never seen one. So once you put it on that person, they can't get it off unless they cut it.
Exactly.
Okay. Can't they just, like I said, layman's term here, can't they just turn it off?
No.
How does that work?
Once it's turned on, it's on until the company turns it off. And I have to request it to be turned off. Usually somebody getting off house arrest, I'll go ahead and tell them, deactivate this person. They're coming in at this time to be took off.
So I come in there, you put one of those bracelets on. How do you turn that on?
It's got a button on top.
So you hit that button.
Yeah.
And they can't turn that button off.
Once it's turned down, only the company can. We lease the equipment from. I can spell it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
What's that?
ATTENTI, I think.
ATTENTI.
I think so.
Now, do you call that company, the ATT company, we'll
I
say?
usually call Patty, and then she'll contact that company.
Okay.
And then
So they lease the equipment. I thought that Mickey owned the equipment, but according to this, he doesn't. According to this recording, they leased the equipment.
they'll deactivate it.
Now, you said usually. Did you call Patty every time, or was somebody else there?
No, that's, unless somebody came into the jail while they're on house arrest, then I would cut the bracelet off first. Then we would contact the company and have it deactivated.
So you can't deactivate it.
I can't, no.
So Patty has to do it.
Through the company. But she leases the equipment from.
Okay. So now they've got.
He said that she leases the equipment from. So whoever the Patty is that he worked with, who monitored all of the equipment and the house arrestees, he said she was the one who leased the equipment.
Got it. If they do everything right, everything's fine. If they get arrested and you find out, then you notify the judge. What if you don't find out? I don't know how people get arrested in my town.
No, where their GPS, it will show them out of range past a certain time. So, like, if you was given permission to go to a doctor's appointment at noonday, you get arrested, you go to jail. At whatever time you're supposed to be home, it would automatically say, "Hey, this person ain't home."
Okay, but how if I'm around here and I get arrested and I'm in the jail? You would never know that unless somebody told you.
Most often, the jail will contact me and say, "Hey, we got somebody down here with an ankle bracelet on," or whoever the officer is arrested will contact me.
Did they, like these people, I know like our people, like they'll say, well, you got to check in with John Doe 2 days a week, or you got to meet this person or that. Do you have anything to do with that?
That was me.
That was you.
They checked in with me on Wednesdays. I would check their bracelet, make sure it was secure and ain't been tampered with, collect their money.
Just Wednesdays?
Yeah. Well, I had some that would come in, let's say they didn't get paid on Wednesday, they got paid on Thursday or Friday. They would come in those days. So
They sure gave him a whole lot of responsibility and power for somebody who only went to a 2-week training for court security. That blows me away that he was responsible for, he was basically running his own house arrest business. And he had control of the money. He knew when they, like he said, he let them just pay him whenever they got paid. There wasn't a certain day, it doesn't sound like. And he was propositioning these women saying, oh, well, if you can't pay for it, we'll work something out. Because he had power to do that. He was in the position to be able to do that. And you're going to hear this detective say that over and over and over again.
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, yeah. And then when they paid the fee, right? Yeah. Did they write checks or cash, or how did they pay you?
Usually cash is how they pay. I've had a few that I would accept checks from.
Didn't they have anybody that did a budgeting or an accounting of everybody who was scheduled to be on house arrest, there should be this much money, like at the end of the week? Like, was there nobody over that was monitoring that to make sure that the money was correct? But from what I have seen, and not just with this case, with researching many other cases and just many other situations, the Letcher County Sheriff's Department was never really good at the financial aspect of the Sheriff's Department. But I don't know if it's the Sheriff's Department or if it's the courts that would be over that. Like I've said it before, this was an independent contracting job. So it was a 1099 job. He was an independent contractor. But still, there has to be some kind of accounting.
Usually I make everybody pay cash, and I'd rather never see that.
Craziest thing I've ever seen.
Is that, other than when they were supposed to be checking in with you on those days, what was the purpose of them checking in with you?
To pay for their weekly. They have to pay when they pay on Wednesday. They're paying for that Wednesday to the following Wednesday. They pay in advance, so they pay a week in advance.
Is that the only reason they would?
Well, different reasons. Check the bracelet, make sure it ain't been tampered with. General appearance, make sure they ain't been using any type of drugs.
Did you ever drug test them?
I've drug tested a few.
Is that part of your job duties to?
The ones I've drug tested has been, because I can't force them to unless part of their condition of bond says for them to take random drug test.
Right.
I would request it from them. You know, hey, would you mind taking a drug test or something of that nature?
And he probably used that as a threat, a tactic to intimidate and threaten these women, because the way that he answered that question there just didn't sound right.
So, if the courts didn't award it, tell them that you got to do a drug test, you might monitor the drug usage.
I would request it.
How can he do that?
And I would tell them you don't have to take the drug test. I'm going to,
What happens if they don't?
relay this to the judge that I requested a drug test and you denied it.
And you refused it. Did you hear him? That I'll ask them for it. I can't make them do it. But if they say no, I'll tell them that I'll tell the judge that I asked you to take a drug screen and you refused it. That's threats.
What happens if they don't?
I don't think I ever had one not submit to a drug test.
What's that tell you? He ain't never had one not submit to a drug test.
I would just tell the judge, let it, then it's up to him.
So if the drug test did, let's say they took a drug test, where do you send that? Explain that to me.
It's the dip test.
Instant.
Yeah, fill the label off.
Okay, let's say they test positive. What do you do?
I'd contact the judge, let them know who it was, what case it is, and what they tested for.
Did you, on those times that you meet these, is there a certain place you have to meet them, or can you? How's that?
The hallway of the courthouse. That first hallway.
Is that every time?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet anybody outside of that?
I met them at the jail before, especially during the lockdown with COVID, because the courthouse was shut down. I met them in the lobby of the jail.
So the hallway or the jail?
Yeah.
Does the sheriff's office provide you a phone or any way to communicate with these people? Or
No.
How do you communicate with them?
My personal cell phone.
And his personal cell phone, that's how he gets in trouble.
Any other way means of communication?
No. I mean, Facebook Messenger, text messages, phone calls, stuff of that nature.
And just to tell you too, this investigator has already subpoenaed his Facebook, his Messenger. These investigators have already, at the time of this interview, they had already pulled all his messages and they had already read them all. They had already spoken to all the victims. So they already knew the answers to these questions before they ever asked them. And as you'll see, Ben is not truthful.
So some different people for different things, or
Yeah, some people don't have cellular service at their residence, so they would message me on Facebook or call me on Facebook.
how did you become doing the monitoring? I'm gonna say monitoring. How did you get to do that?
Well, the person who used to do it was is the sheriff. He done it before he ran and became sheriff, so he didn't want to do it no more. So I took that job over also when I started the sheriff's office.
How long have you been in the sheriff's office?
2019, January 6th.
When did you start the monitoring company?
Sometime. It might have been about the middle of December. Between the middle of December and the 1st of January, I think.
Which one did you start first?
I would say technically the house arrest part of it. I think I was doing about the middle of December. During the transition, I had to take all the stuff to be hired on at the sheriff's office, and that didn't become official until January. And the new sheriff took over.
So the company just gives you how many of these monitor ankle bracelets? So you just
I'll call them and say I need 5 bracelets ordered. They'll send me 5 more, and then if I end up with too many not in use, I mail them back to them, and then when I need more, they send me more back.
who do you do that with?
Patty usually coordinates all that. I just tell her, hey, order me 10 boxes.
As far as the monitoring company, do you ever deal with anybody other than Patty?
Usually not. I don't.
Do you remember anybody else that you might?
No.
How about the sheriff's office, like the bailiff? I know where I'm from, there's a bailiff bunch, and they actually have like a captain that's over them. Who's over you as a bailiff?
I guess it'd just be the sheriff.
Sure.
Yeah, we just have 2 court security officers at the courthouse.
Did you go to any kind of training?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I went to Richmond.
Went to academy.
Yep, it was a 2-week academy for court security.
Did you have a training for the monitoring?
No. Other than just being, told how to put the bracelet on, how to activate it and that stuff.
Did you ever sign any kind of policy procedures for the sheriff's office?
Yes.
How about the monitoring company?
Not that I can think of.
So the only times that you would go get an escape warrant would be if somebody left their designated area.
Yes. Cut the band off, left the
Good
designated
point.
area.
Because if I get arrested, that you'll just go to the court, right?
Yes.
Have you ever got an escape warrant on somebody that may have got arrested instead of going to the judge?
No, usually if they got arrested, they was allowed to be out. That's why they got.
So no time did you ever get an escape warrant on anybody that violated their bond conditions because of an arrest or any other bond condition?
No.
So the escape charge was for violating the bond condition of where you're not supposed to leave or you're supposed to be here or there.
If you'll listen to this, it's starting to come on now. This Matt Easter, investigator, detective, he tells Ben exactly what to say. Ben says all the wrong things at first, and Mr. Easter gives him exactly what to say. And he has to do it. Ben appears to be so touched that he's not realizing what Easter is saying, and then finally he catches on. But I cannot believe that this detective conducted any of these interviews the way that he did. It's shameless.
I'm trying to understand how that works.
The escape would be leaving without permission or something other than, but we have somebody, we've had them before, go from their residence to the ER at the hospital. I'm not going to charge that person with escape.
I understand.
But if they left their residence at 2 o'clock in the morning and went 5 miles down the road to their buddy's house for a while and then came back, that would be an escape.
Okay, so do you have like a computer system you get on and log on and watch these monitors, or how does that work? How does that system work?
Patty watches I guess she gets alerts of who violates.
So does the court tell you where they can go, or Patty?
They tell me usually.
And then how does Patty know?
I will tell Patty.
Okay, so I'm now out on bond. You've got that on my leg. You've turned the power on. The court has said, all right, Matt, you can only go here, there, or there. Then they're notified you of that.
They call Patty for.
Who calls Patty?
The person on house arrest participant.
Okay.
If they have a doctor's appointment, they have a court date, if they want to meet with their attorney, they call Patty directly and tell her, because that stuff we have to let them do. We can't deny them doctor's appointments, court dates, stuff of that nature.
And so he just said that these people who are on house arrest are supposed to call Patty to get special permissions to like go to the hospital, doctor's appointments, stuff like that. So if they were supposed to be calling Patty, then there shouldn't be as many phone calls and communications between him and all of these women. You see what I'm saying? That just doesn't even make sense right there.
If they are given work release, they have to call Patty with their schedule.
Okay. But as far as where they're supposed to be once they get out, you call Patty and tell them, all right, this person, according to the court, they can't be, here's what they have to be.
Usually the way we done it was they have to stay at home other than court dates and doctor's appointments unless they request work release. The judge has to approve that.
So these people, once I get out, I'm supposed to be at the house. I'm not supposed to be going anywhere unless
you given prior
hospital, doctor, or prior permission.
Yes.
Okay.
If they're given some type of work release.
Now, can I call, since I'm checking in with you on Wednesday and Thursday, do I check in with you at any other time for anything?
I've had them call me when they haven't been able to get up with Patty about, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I ain't been able to get up with Patty. I just want to let you know. And then I would also forward that message to Patty.
Okay. So I'm out. If I need to go to Hazard, to a Walmart up there, because can't find some here, I have to call Patty or you.
Yes.
What most of the time does that happen? Does they call Patty most of the time, or do they call you?
See, that cop already had all the records. So when he's saying they have to call Patty, that cop just gave him an out by the way that he questions him right here.
I would say they probably contact Patty 65% of the time, 75.
So let's say the other percent of the time they call you. What do you do? What do you tell them?
It depends on what it's for. If it's something legit, I'll tell them they, keep trying to get up with Patty. I'll also send her a message about it.
Can you give them permission to go to those places? If you think like let's say it's a birthday, you got a man that's got a kid. I need to go get him a bicycle. Whitesburg Walmart doesn't have one. Perry up there does. Can I go up there and get that bike? Can you give me that permission to do that?
I guess I could.
He's playing judge now.
Usually I tell Patty, regardless. And if she says, I don't think we should, then I'll go with her call.
So now if I call and let's say you can't get a hold of Patty, or let's say, but you can give them permission, and if Patty calls you and says, hey, this person's been to Perry, you can say, no, I sent them.
Yes.
And that makes it all right.
Yes.
What happens if somebody comes and they don't have that fee? Who gets notified then? What happens?
It depends. If they come in on Wednesday and say, hey, I ain't got the money till Friday, I tell them you can send it back up by somewhere on Friday. You can come back up here Friday. That happens a lot. Usually I'll let them buy with 1 week. I'll tell them, if you can't pay this week, you have to pay double next week, or you have to go back to jail. You have to turn yourself back in.
I mean, he was just taking the liberty to run the whole thing like he was. I mean, it just blows me away. And Ben doesn't realize that these investigators have subpoenaed all of his text messages and his messenger accounts. He doesn't know that yet. It blows me away. Just how ridiculous this whole thing is.
So you can kind of waive that fee?
Yes.
Does Patty ever call and say, where's the payment? How does that work?
She'll call and say, this guy's a week behind. Like, yep, he has to pay, he said he'll pay up in full next week. So,
can you ever waive it and say, hey, let this person, their mother just died, they've got a funeral expense. I'm just going to waive these fees for the next 2 weeks. Can you do that?
No, I don't think I can do that. I've been stuck before where I've let somebody not pay 1 week, and then the following week they get off house arrest. And I've had to pay it out of my pocket because it has to be paid.
You got any other questions about procedure? All right. I want to try to talk to you here. I want you to listen.
Mate, just one thing. You said you made the deposits to the company account, Ben?
Yes.
Where do you do that at?
At the bank, right across the street, Community Trust.
Here, what?
The investigator that's speaking now, that's that Shannon. I forget what they said his last name was, but this is the other investigator, and it might even be somebody over Easter. I'm not sure. When we were listening to the victim's interview, he was trying to catch Shannon up because Shannon was the one that was, I think Shannon was the one that was sitting in the background with Ned Pillersdorf while they were doing the interview, and you couldn't hear anything. So these two investigators are both there, and this is the other one who's asking these questions, and then Easter will break back in.
Yeah. So I want you to listen to me really good. Okay. These are two cops here talking. Well, you count 30.
This is where it starts, right here. So pay attention.
You count that. So I can understand a lot, man. I've been in your shoes. And two of the things, and I'm a lot older than you, so it's kind of pitiful, but I am. So I've been in your shoes. I know where you've been. I know circumstances you've been in. So, and a lot of times there's a problem and then there's a cover up. And the cover up, it ends up being the problem, not the original problem. We don't want that, because I've done this investigation, and by that I'll give you some stuff, man. I'll just be straight with you. Man, I've pulled Facebook records. I've got search warrants on Facebook, and I've pulled phone calls. I've done all this. So I've got all these messages. I've got it. Okay. I know what's happened. I understand what's happened. That's the key. I want you to really understand that. I get that. I've been a cop and know what it's like. You're out late at night, man, you run these roads. I get it. But don't let the cover up be worse than the mistake, because if you do that, then I can't understand. I can't explain to you how much that really means, because you're in a situation, you know, where I'm sure the world's going around, but there's just a problem. Don't make it a huge problem. And you got to understand, man, everybody makes mistakes. That's why there's erasers on pencils. I've made mistakes as cops. Man, I look back on some of the stuff, and I've done similar stuff, and I'm like, man.
I've done similar stuff, he said. And then he says here in a minute, we're all guys. I get it. I understand. We're all men. It makes me sick.
But I've always come straight, and that's always prevailed, and I've come over it. You know, I've had these banks that I've had to climb up because I've done some that I probably shouldn't have. But I've always been honest about it, and I've always got to that top, and then it's leveled back out again. And then, knowing me, I'd create another bank. I'm good for that. I'll just be straight with you. You know, I'm a guy that likes to create banks. For whatever reason it is, I seem to create a lot of banks in my career. And so far,
Really?
I've been able to climb those banks and sort of wave the barrage of the bad. But once I've done, I've been honest, and I've got to the top. So I really want you to think about that. And there's two things here we have to look at. And I'll just be straight. There's consensual sex and there's sexual assault. And those are two different things. You understand that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Forcibly holding somebody down is a sexual assault to a female. Man, I can't understand that. I just can't.
That's not the only way, Easter.
But I can tell you right now, I don't think that's what happened. I don't believe that. You came here. You know, 98% of the people are good in this world. The other two aren't. You're 98 that came here to talk to me, to tell me your side of the story. Just looking at you, and I've talked to community members here, man. You're well liked, you're well respected. I don't think you're that 2% that would sexually assault somebody. I really don't. But I don't know that unless you tell me everything. Because if not, then I don't know your side of the story. If it's consensual sex, I can understand that. I can't understand sexual assault.
Yeah, he colors this entire investigation. This detective does.
You know, do you understand what I'm saying? So tell me about your relationship. I know it's hard, buddy. I know it is.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, it's cop to cop, you know.
Okay. So it started out, I don't know the dates. She's on house arrest. She's wanting to check into a rehab. She ain't got nobody that can pay for the house arrest.
If this woman wanted to go to rehab, the judge would have sent her to rehab. He would not have said, no, you're on house arrest. You can't go to rehab. So this right here is just the biggest bunch of baloney I've ever heard in my life.
So I pretty much say, if you go check into the rehab, I'm going to have your bracelet deactivated. You don't have to pay. You stay there. The court wouldn't take her off the house arrest. I really felt sorry for her. She doesn't have nobody. She,
Really?
I wanted to see her go to rehab and do better. She went. She stayed 2 or 3 weeks. Then she left. She told me she was going to get back into another one. A couple weeks later, she went to the other rehab. Checked back in. I'm not sure how long she stayed that time. I don't think it was nearly as long as the first time. At that point, it just kind of, it was in a situation I couldn't just put her back on house arrest. As far as reactivating her without going through all the process. I knew I messed up when I deactivated without the court's permission. There was a lot of messages, flirting, inappropriate conversations.
See, now, since Easter told him he had all the Facebook messages, now he's going to start changing his story.
That's it.
Did you ever have sex with her?
No, I never had sex with her.
Okay, let me explain this to you again.
How many times is he going to lie? And Easter catches him in the lie every time. But still, he catches him in the lie, and then he coaches him to the right answer that's going to give him the least amount of consequences.
There is a difference in sexual assault and consensual sex between two adults. We have done our research. We've pulled your Facebook. We have multiple witnesses. There's a lot that you don't know that's went on behind the scenes. Okay?
Nope. It's over.
And I know it's hard to sit there and say I made a mistake, or it's hard to admit something like that. I get it. It's been hard for me to admit some stuff that I've done. But unless I have the truth, I have to leave here thinking sexual assault, not consensual sex, because I'm hearing one side of a story, which, let me tell you, on that side of the story, there's a lot of evidence that will show something happened. I don't think you're the guy that would sexually assault somebody. I think you're the guy that was late at night. You had some flirtations going on. It's hard, man. I'm a guy. I'm not foolish. I'm not sitting there judging you. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. What I'm trying to get you to do is not dig yourself a hole. When consensual sex is something totally different. Sexual assault of a girl, man, that's totally different. But if I'm just hearing one side, well, I've got to have both sides, And I don't want you to go down this road of nothing happened, because something happened. I know it happened, but I don't think you sexually assaulted her.
I know it happened, but I need you to tell me that it was consensual smacks. That way, our charges won't be so bad, right? As long as it's consensual, then it's not battery or assault. Which they charged him with the big R word, but still. The way that he conducts this interview versus the way that he conducted the interviews with the women is just, it's unexcusable.
I really don't. But, if you're not truthful with me, then how can I say, man, he was truthful with me. He said consensual sex. He didn't sexually assault her. I can't say that on your behalf if you say nothing happened. I just need the truth.
No, you don't need the truth. You need him to say it was consensual.
Did you all have a sexual relationship? I know it's hard, dude. I know it is. But I'm telling you, that bank is steep right now, but once you get to the top, it will level off. I've been in your shoes where I've climbed banks that's worse than that. And truthfully, you can ask Shannon, I'm constantly getting in them. I'm one of these guys that I mean well, I'm doing good, and just I get carried away and do stuff that, it is what it is. But I always be truthful and get to that bank.
I'm one of the good old boys, is what he's saying. I've done similar mistakes. I've made similar mistakes.
Because if not, then how does anybody know what's my side of the story? I can't sit there and say, hey, Ben said it was consensual sex. He didn't sexually assault her. How do I know that unless I've got something backing you? And that's why I came to you, man. We didn't have to come to you, but I talked to people in this community, and they said, man, he's a good guy. Go talk to him. And, when I called you just a minute ago, you said you'll meet, that showed me that you really wanted to do good and get past this. And that's why I'm here. I know it's hard.
Now, Shannon just came in for like 1 or 2 questions, and that was it. Easter is the one who's really conducted these interviews by himself.
I've got to know the truth. And,
Shannon's a man. He's not a female. He's a man, too.
Like I said, I'm just us talking. So, was there a sexual relationship? Was it consensual?
He needed a lawyer. He thought he was smart.
It's all right, buddy. It really is. This isn't the end of the world. I promise you this. This is probably a problem to you that but I can tell you, if every problem, every wave has a peak, and then there's a backside, and then it levels back off. Every time. I've been doing this for over 20 years. How many waves do you think I've rode? I'm a bigger fool than you are.
Really?
The only difference is, no. Trust me, man. Would I tell you that if I'm not? I am. The only difference is I've learned and had some good people that's always helped me saying, man, you got to own it. Dude, you did it. You got to own it. And I have, and it's worked out. But you can't just not tell the truth. It won't work when there's 2 sides to a story. Like I said, dude, you've got a sexual assault side. Did some girl get raped? Did some girl get thrown around? Or was this consensual sex? Which one is it?
So, according to Easter, the only way it would be the R word is if clothes were ripped off and she was, smacked around and thrown around. And so that's what he's basically saying. If that didn't happen, then it's not sexual assault. I need you to tell me it was consensual. So at least we have an argument here.
It's not a question whether you did or you didn't. I know what happened. Wouldn't be here if it did. The question is, was it sexual assault that I can't understand, or was it consensual sex? Dude, you wouldn't be here if I didn't think it was one. But I can't
Really?
tell you to tell the truth without you doing it.
And maybe he is playing good cop with this guy, but he sure wasn't playing good cop with the victims. Oh, the way that he did the victims in their interviews, he tried to confuse them. He tried to discourage them. He was not trying to calm their fears in any way. But he bends over backwards to calm Ben's fears. And if we'll just get through this, if you just put your head down, we'll get on the other side and it'll be okay. Well, guess what? It sure was. He only got 6 months in jail. So they knew exactly what they were going to do.
Can I ask a question?
You can't. But I may not have the answer.
When the evidence is presented, will all of it be presented?
Will all of it be
I really don't
presented?
understand what that means.
All the messages and everything? Because I'd like them all.
Yeah, dummy. Okay. I'm going to back this up a little bit because I started talking and you all need to hear this. He's basically asking if there's any way that they can fix this. That's how I take it.
I can't understand. Or is it consensual sex? Dude, you wouldn't be here if I didn't think it was one. But I can't tell you to tell the truth without you doing it.
Can I ask a question?
You can't. But I may not have the answer.
When the evidence is presented, will all of it be presented?
I really don't understand what that means.
All the messages and everything? Because I'd like them all to be.
Oh.
Everything that I have will be given.
He said because I'd like them
your
all
side
to
of the
be.
story is going to come out. That's why we're here.
And then here's the thing, man. I know what you're getting at because we've seen some of this stuff. Okay, we know what comments came your way. All right,
That's why.
what Matt's trying to tell you. We're not trying to
That's what I'm
dangle
saying.
every piece of evidence we got because
So they looked at the messages, and apparently the women must have sent messages back to him that were sexual in nature. So now they're going to jump on that and say, "Oh, well, we know they were coming on to you. They were coming on to you. We saw it."
it's not the right way to do this.
That's why I'm saying consensual. Or is this something else?
Yeah, we've seen things. We know. We understand what you're getting at. Okay, I know what's going through your mind right now.
There's a difference.
What led up to this? How did it get started?
There you go.
We know those answers.
I've read your message.
We're just trying. We're trying to get
wrong by cutting her loose, deactivating her bracelet.
Okay.
To me, I feel like that's a crime, and I should be held for that.
Okay. Well, what if that's not a crime? What other things about your all's relationship do you think weren't right?
Oh, there's nothing.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I know what you were. I think I know what you were asking, and I agree 100%. That's why I'm saying, was there consensual sex between you two, or was this a sexual assault against her? You see what I'm saying? Consensual sex is two people flirtatious, not one person taking it from a person as a sexual assault. Two people flirting back is consensual sex. But I can't have a consensual sex or anything without your cooperation telling me your side of the story. That's the key.
Once. We actually had intercourse once.
Do you remember where that was at?
It was in the bathroom at the courthouse.
And on that day, how did that transpire? How did you all end up at the courthouse?
Hit the like button, y'all. Helping old Hillbilly out.
Trying to think. I think she was talking to me about maybe needing some money. I was going to give her some money. Told her just to come on up there. She came up there, we met. I gave her some money. Just one thing led to another.
What was the money for?
two times I gave her money. One was when her car was impounded, and she was needing money to get it out of impound. The second time, she just told me that she was struggling. Power bills need to be paid, rent, this and that.
Did you ever have, you said you had intercourse once, right?
Yes.
How about oral sex?
It was the same day.
The same incident?
Yeah.
So you had no other sexual relationship other than that one time. That's oral intercourse.
Yes.
And he said that was in the bathroom at the courthouse. So that's added on to all the rest of the places that we've heard he's confessed. He said it was in the elevator at the courthouse. So Lord only knows if that was during the day. What did he do? Get in the elevator with her and stop in between floors? The judge's chambers, in his vehicle. I mean, but yet here in this interview, he's only admitting to one time. All these fibs. And, when I was going through the records, we're going to look at those too. I'm going to show you all that stuff too. But in the records, the perjury charge that they charged him with, it wasn't about all these lies. They got him for perjury when he filed the escape charge on one of those women. I guess it would have been Sabrina because the other one passed away. So they dismissed all these charges against her. But for Sabrina, he, oh Lord, I'm sorry. It went right out of my mind, y'all. I'll think of it here in a minute. It's just so much. There's so much. It drives me nuts.
I know that's hard.
Sorry, y'all.
And I get it, buddy.
A little crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Don't think I'm judging you because I'm not. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, especially guys. We're good at this. Just is what it is. And
that's nice.
I've been a cop before, and I'll give you an example of what I'm trying to go at here, maybe. Because I think you alluded to you want to see her do good by going to rehab. I think you're a caring guy. I do. That's why I'm here. Because you do care.
I promise you, Judge Jimmy Kraft would have sent her to rehab. He didn't have to. She didn't have to go through Ben to go to rehab.
Let's say that I'm running radar and I see a girl, and she's going a little fast, and I know her. Maybe we've been flirting. I give her a break because that's I can do that. I'm in a position that I can give breaks. Did you ever give any kind of breaks like that? Because you were the cop running radar, and you saw her do something wrong, but you wanted her to do good. Y'all had a flirtatious relationship, and you thought, all right, man, I'll let you go this time. Just me and you. Was there some incidents that took place?
See, he keeps putting those scenarios out there for him to latch on to. I mean, he's telling him everything to say.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what you want me to say.
Okay. Like she's got fees that she's supposed to do. She's not supposed to go outside of the county, but you can waive that. You told me that you could. So
she was given work
release, or let's say she wanted to go somewhere that she probably wasn't supposed to, maybe to go shop or something. It's the same kind of principle. Like I said, I'm running radar. It's a speeding ticket. I know the girl. We may be having a relationship. I just wheel it around, or I stop and realize who it is. I'm like, hey, just slow down, do better next time. Did any of those occurrences happen with?
can't believe all the lawyers in Whitesburg who are friendly with, everybody in that circle. They all knew these were investigators. They all knew this was going down. They all knew this was being investigated. And not one lawyer said, Ben, don't talk unless you have one of us with you. That blows me away that this man thought that these investigators were going to be his friends and that he didn't need to have an attorney. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in my lifetime is that you never, ever, ever talk to the police without an attorney. They will trick you, just kind of like what you guys are saying, him playing good cop on here with Ben, which he might be, but Ben still only got 6 months in jail. So, they weren't playing good cop to sink him. They weren't playing good cop to hold him accountable for his actions. They were only playing good cop in my eyes to find some kind of resolution in this because they had, Ned Pillersdorf breathing down their necks. So that's what I think. I have one.
Not that I'm aware of. I'm
The things it could be waiving of fees. It could be ankle bracelet taken off.
like, yeah, I mean, I deactivated her bracelet.
Why did you deactivate her bracelet?
Because she was wanting to go to rehab and couldn't have no way of paying for it.
Did you tell Patty that?
I did not. I just told Patty she was deactivated. She
Was that prior to having sexual relationships with her? Were you flirtatious at that point already?
I remember what I was going to say, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me run in here real quick with the perjury. So they only charged him with perjury for him swearing to the warrant for the escape. When he went and turned her in for escape, he had to swear under oath to file that escape charge. And that's what they charged him with the perjury for. They didn't charge him for perjury for any of these statements, which I don't think. He asks him at the end of this recording if your statements were all true. But as you see, like you said, Calvin Blaine, you've already lied to me 5 or 6 times on tape. But if you agree with me, I'll tell them you're honest. Like I just said I would on tape, par for the course. Yeah, and none of them ever expected anybody to really listen to these. Nobody knew that Mickey was going to go up there and do what he did.
So.
Have them all the time.
Can't remember really.
But you did deactivate her bracelet. Have you ever taken her bracelet off? Let's say, just whatever reason, she should have had it on, but you'd let her take it off. Because obviously you're in that position where you can do that. Just kind of like me running radar. I'm in the position to turn the radar button off.
Yes.
Did you ever do that?
Yes. I removed her bracelet after she left the rehab.
But she should have had it on.
Yes.
See, that doesn't even make any sense. He removed her bracelet after she left the rehab. But he just said a minute ago that he turned it off and deactivated it before she went to rehab. So she could go to rehab.
In my mind, it wasn't doing no good if it was deactivated.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't on
It
anyway.
wasn't on.
Does she have any bracelets?
Yes.
Why does she have a bracelet?
I gave her one.
Why did you give her one?
Try to keep her out of trouble.
Try to keep her out of trouble.
When was she going to be in trouble?
An incident happened with her. I don't know how you refer her ex or her man. He came and got an EPO violation or an EPO on her. And the EPO said she was on house arrest. She came to his house. They got into a physical altercation.
So her and boyfriend got into it. You thought she was going to get in trouble. So, or she thought she was going to get in trouble. So she contacted you and you gave her a bracelet. Did you turn that one on or?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many times you took on and off her bracelet?
I took it off once and gave her one to put back on.
Okay, the one to put back on, what was that for?
That was for trying to keep her out of trouble.
When her boyfriend found out? Did you ever have to put one on before she came to court or any kind of things like that?
I don't remember doing that. I gave her one back.
I doubt it.
Maybe once in between there. I'm trying to think. Yes. Once in between.
And obviously, I'm asking questions that I know or I wouldn't be asking it. But I'm looking for your truthfulness. And I appreciate that a lot. Your communication, how did you communicate?
Phone calls, text messages.
Any other applications? Snapchat or Instagram? I don't know.
Facebook Messenger.
Did you ever use Instagram or Snapchat? Just Facebook or text or call? Do you have any voicemails or anything that she left you or any messages on your phone? Do you have anything on your or Facebook account from her? What happened to those?
Deleted all that stuff.
I already deleted it.
Probably 2 months ago.
So you deleted everything off your phone and Facebook from her?
Yes. Okay. I know it doesn't go away. I just didn't want it on my phone.
I agree.
Because he was married and he wasn't supposed to be doing this.
I understand. Did you ever be in that, obviously a lot of women get arrested and get on house arrest. Any other girls that you had a sexual relationship with? No. Here's another good question.
Now, he just asked her if there was any other girls, or he asked him, and he said no. And the detective knows that's not true, so he gives him another lifeline.
Is there some maybe that you flirted with?
Yes.
Who are those people?
I flirted, inappropriate messages, and nothing ever went physical whatsoever.
What happened with her?
She violated her house arrest, went back to jail.
How did she violate it?
The last time I had her on, she didn't return home.
So he violated each one of that. Seems to be his MO. Whenever he's finally done with them, he just violates their house arrest, puts them on escape or whatever, and they go back to jail. And then I guess he just moves on to his next victim.
She went missing for about 6 or 7 hours. And actually, I think her mom's house was right over there. Her mom calls me and tells me.
Hill?
No, it's the houses, the housetops down by the drive-through. Yeah. Her mom calls and says she's at her house. I went there, picked her up, took her to jail.
What kind of inappropriate, you said, messages you had with her? Were they sexual in nature or?
Yes. Just flirtation.
Did you all ever have any kind of oral sex or intercourse? Did you have any physical contact?
Nothing, maybe a hug, something of that nature.
Maybe a hug, something
Any
of
other
that
girl?
nature.
No.
That's only girls. Any men?
No. None that I want to talk about.
Did you hear that? He said, any men? Have you done this with any men? And he says, no, none that I want to talk about. So he feels so comfortable that he's willing to sit here and joke around with these detectives.
It's a joke. I apologize.
You're good. You're good.
Or he tried to, anyway.
Back on the escape warrant that you got on her, explain that to me.
It was for her failure to report in. I was hoping that she would just come to the courthouse, turn herself in on it. I was just going to say, she didn't report in. She is now, and try to get her back out on house arrest.
Oh.
That was after the sexual intercourse.
Yes.
So you went and got the warrant. Is that because you lost contact with her and you were wanting to get contact back with her?
The EPO.
Because,
the EPO stated she was on house arrest. The judge wanted to know if she did. If she did leave her house to go to his house, for the EPO that took place.
So let me explain real fast how this all fell together. Okay, so one of these women apparently left her house and went to her boyfriend's house, and they got into a physical altercation. Well, the boyfriend went and got an EPO against the woman. Well, it went in front of Judge Kraft, and Judge Kraft, which is upstairs, drug court, all that, felonies. Judge Kraft asks Ben, was she not at home? She was supposed to be on house arrest. She's not supposed to leave her house. How did will you go check your records and see if the GPS records and see if she left her house and went to the boyfriend's house and is guilty of this, assault? And Ben had not had her ankle monitor or her ankle thing activated. So he didn't have any records to tell the judge whether she was or not. And so that's how all of this came about. The judge started asking questions because there was an accusation, an allegation against one of these women.
And if she did,
can you text that number and just tell me just a few more minutes?
And if she did, he was wanting her arrested for the escape.
So the judge found out about the EPO.
Yes.
And so she was supposed to be at house arrest because he was asking why is she got an EPO on her when she should be at home.
Yes.
So what did he tell you to go get the warrant, or
he told me to check to see if she did violate her house arrest, and if so, to charge her with escape.
The judge told you this?
Yes.
Who's the judge? What judge?
It was Judge Kraft. But of course, the bracelet was deactivated. I couldn't prove that she went there. I couldn't prove that she didn't. So we try to.
And the judge told you to go get a warrant for escape?
Well, he just said if she did violate, to charge her with escape.
Okay, but you couldn't prove that she violated.
Prove that she violated.
Then why was there a warrant issued? Explain that.
He wanted her to come in. I was trying to fix everything. I was hoping to get her back in jail.
Okay, when you were saying you were trying to fix everything, is that because her boyfriend had found out?
I'm not sure why they got into it. I don't know what I think on the EPO, he said that she came over to his house. They got into an argument because she was
What were you trying to fix?
That I had her deactivated, and the court hadn't deactivated her.
So you were trying to get her back in jail where you could get her reactivated.
I was trying to get her back to the courthouse, to the jail, to be able to say her bracelet was on.
Would she not meet you anywhere?
I told her, I asked her several times to come turn herself in. I would do everything I could to get her back out.
Come turn herself in. You see, he's conflating all this stuff. This detective's asking him about the escape being filed, and he's trying to say, well, Judge Kraft told me to do it. And then he asks him, so the judge said that? And he was like, oh, well, no. He just said that if she violated, to charge her with it. But he didn't have the ability to prove whether she violated or not. So she shouldn't have been violated, but yet he still went and charged her with that escape. So he kind of double talks here and kind of sidesteps it. And I use the term word salad. He throws all these words in there and kind of just moves right on past it.
She told me
But when this process started and you were trying to fix this, could you have not called her and said, hey, I've got to put a bracelet back on, you meet me?
she had one on her.
Couldn't you just say, meet me, let me activate that bracelet, man, I've got to? Instead of getting a warrant? I don't understand that.
I don't know, I was afraid if I forced it on her, she'd
So you were, what do you mean by that?
she'd say what happened.
He was afraid if he forced it on her, she would say what happened. You still put the escape on her. What are you talking about? It doesn't even make any sense.
Say what happened. To talk about your sex relationship.
Yes.
So you didn't go to her and say, meet me here so I can turn that bracelet on because the judge is wanting to know or something.
I told her if she came and turned herself in and that her bracelet was on, then it showed that she, had her bracelet on, she hadn't escaped.
But at that point, that's what, and I guess that's where I'm not understanding. You're saying she came, turned herself, you told her to turn herself in. Did she have a warrant on her at that time?
Yes.
What for?
The character report.
Which is that the escape that you went and got the county attorney? Okay, prior to that, did you ever call and say, hey, the judge is asking about this, your EPO, I need to get that bracelet turned on?
No, it all kind of happened in the same way.
Why didn't you do that versus go get a warrant?
Well,
I don't know.
So, going back, you said that you didn't want her to say anything about your all's relationship, right? So you go get a warrant to get her in jail to be able to activate the bracelet and talk to her and try to get her not to say anything?
no, I wasn't going to try to talk to her and tell her not to say anything. I guess in my mind, the judge was wanting her to come in. When he asked me, has she come in to see you? I said, no, because she hadn't. And,
So you didn't have to let the judge know at that time. He inquired about whether she had been at the boyfriend's residence, and when you didn't have an answer for him, did he not ever follow up to ask why, or do you recall?
No, he wanted to know why, or wanted to know if it showed her going there.
Okay.
And I told him that it didn't show anything.
He didn't follow up on that and ask
He
why?
did. He asked me a few times, has she come in? Has she reported in? Have you got the warrant on her?
So it started with she's not reporting. It started with the EPO violation. He wants to know, did it show her going here to violate this EPO?
Yes.
You couldn't give him an answer, correct?
Exactly.
And then the follow on to that was, hey, is she reported in? And you're saying she's not showing up at a regular time. Is that what you mean by not reporting in? She's not showing up at the regular
She
time?
didn't show up
Which would normally be what day and time?
Wednesday.
Okay, so she's not showed up. Is she answering your communications to her?
Occasionally,
What did she say about turning herself in then?
she said that she was sick. Thought she had COVID. The next day, she said that her car was stolen. She couldn't get a ride over there.
Okay. How long did she put you off for?
Probably a week.
And so you, after about a week, that goes on, and then you told the judge a couple times that she's not met with you, right?
Yes.
And then based on what you said earlier, the judge said she's non-compliant to get a warrant.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, he asked me a few times if I got the warrant on her yet. I'm not reporting in. I told him I forgot.
I wonder what Judge Jimmy Kraft thinks about all this. He's not said a word since any of this has happened. Not that I've seen. Which, I mean, he's a judge, so he can't really comment on a lot of things. But I would love to be a fly on the wall and know what he thinks about this.
So eventually you go ahead and get that warrant because you know judge is asking questions, you're not giving him answers, and you need to make some sort of action because you're going to make yourself look bad. Is that what you're concerned, or?
Multiple concerns.
Okay. What were those concerns?
I was mainly just wanting her to come in so I could tell the judge her bracelet is on.
Right.
It's not been tampered with. I'm going to switch her out with a new bracelet with hopes that she'd just go right back home.
Okay.
Could you have not activated the one that you gave her?
Not without her coming in.
Okay. You have to physically hit that button.
Could she have hit that button?
Not without.
You have to have a tool or something?
I'd have to, like a new hookup. I'd have to get all the information put in the paddy.
Okay. So it'd been deactivated for a while, so you couldn't just like, hey, press the button. She couldn't just press the button. Like, hey, if you turn your ankle bracelet on, then it's okay. She couldn't do that, right? No. She didn't have the ability. Okay.
Today.
And just to let you guys know about the wife, she was the only smart one. She lawyered up. She didn't talk to any of these investigators. She asked for a lawyer. So she was the only one that was smart enough not to talk.
The sexual relationship. You know when that was? Estimated time frame, when? Month, summer, winter,
Fall?
in the fall, September, August, November.
Yep.
Did you tell her to come to the courthouse that night and meet you, or did she say, I'm coming to the courthouse and meeting you?
I can't remember. She several times wanted to meet me somewhere, and I told her told her I had to work, I was busy.
Do you have keys, or is the courthouse open? Or?
I've got keys.
You got keys. So you don't remember who called that night and said, meet me? Was that a time she's supposed to check in with you, or normal? Was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I can't remember. Is what you said?
Yeah, I can't.
You got a low voice there.
I'm sorry.
And I'm hard to hear. I'm an old farmer. It's been around a lot of machinery. So you have to kind of speak up sometimes. How about, did you know prior to her getting in trouble?
No.
Would you have ever had a relationship with her if it wasn't for these circumstances of her getting in trouble and you all meeting? Is that would y'all have met any other way? Or
I mean, not that I've been aware
how about,
of.
do you know her?
Yes. I mean, I've known her through the court system for years.
If you wouldn't have been in this position to know, do you think you would have had a relationship with her? Do you think that helped you all?
I'm confused.
He said, I'm confused. He don't know what he wants him to say. He's like, you didn't give me a hint there for what you want me to say. I'm confused.
I mean, if we'd never met in any way, then probably not. But
I guess what I'm saying is, if you'd have saw her at Walmart, would you have went up and spoke to her, or is this something that just because of the circumstances that you were in, you all formed a relationship?
This detective has pushed that relationship angle from the very beginning.
it's a hard question to answer. I don't go up and talk to a lot of people.
Is there any questions you have for me?
What kind of charges?
I don't do charges. I'm the lowest guy on the totem pole of many people above me. I don't do stuff like that. All I do is they send me up to these places to get people's side of the story. I type the form up, I give it back to them, and that's they tell me what to do.
Who's
the Attorney General's office? Yeah. I don't. It'll be up to them on what they decide. I can't tell you. I don't want to lead you in any way, so I just can't tell you that.
It'll be dependent upon if there's follow-on interview.
He said, I don't want to lead you in any way. My gosh. Could y'all see smoke come out of my ears on that one?
Use additional information that comes in to make sure what you tell us is accurate. There's no prosecutor in the world that I've met, in the last 20 years that isn't interested in, someone telling the truth.
And your evidence question, will all the evidence be presented? Everything that I gather absolutely will be presented. That is something there's no narrative here. That's what I told you before when I said, man, I understand stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a narrative to come up here and to get you to do, to only show something against you. That's not how that works. We do the whole broad spectrum and then let the chips have to kind of fall where they fall. It's not up to me. But no way will that not happen. I can assure you that.
Yeah, this isn't, a movie or small town situation. You got to think your Attorney General is your chief law enforcement. We've got a very important duty to be very factual, be very independent, to present everything. And that's why we said we want to make sure that what we get from you is spot on accurate, because, we don't answer to pretty much everything we've already asked you, okay? We don't, if you're wanting an accurate portrayal of evidence and an accurate portrayal of who you are, then honesty is the only way that Matt and I can convey that, in a report or, to a prosecutor or to a grand jury or anybody else.
I get no pleasure in this whatsoever and no benefit. So I will ask you that what you have just discussed with us through this period that you've been in our vehicle and our presence, that's been your statement, free and willing, right?
Yes.
Your honest statement, everything you've told me has been the truth.
Yes.
Even though you lied 10 times and I had to coach you into the right thing to say, how could this even stand up? Well, it could. He pled guilty, so they didn't have to send this in front of no jury.
What do you think should
Unbelievable.
happen to somebody that this is done?
I done wrong. I never raped her forcibly, but I done wrong.
Huh. I didn't R her forcibly, but I done wrong.
Do you have any other questions? You've got my phone number. If you do, feel free to call me. I understand you may come up with something tonight. I will say this. I know this is hard on you, and no matter what outcome happens here, I want to assure you something. The good Lord above shows another day. And that's a guarantee. That's not, I can say a lot. I can tell you the trees are green. I can say anything. That's no guarantee in life, but that is a guarantee. That hill that you're climbing, to be truthful and honest, you will peak, and this will level out in your life, and you'll look back years from now, and this will be just a bump in the road. I guarantee you that. And that's, I know that wholeheartedly.
I would like to just say that, you know, Patty had nothing to do with it. It's completely separate from the sheriff's office. I had not, you know, it's two different jobs. It'd be like me working in the sheriff's office and me working at McDonald's. You know, the sheriff's office shouldn't be reflected badly upon. Patty shouldn't even resign.
When you were doing this job, sometimes the ankle monitors in the evening, was it after work? Did you still have your uniform on?
I would have my uniform on most often, but it would be after.
Okay. But you were technically not working for the sheriff's office, even though you might still have your uniform on. You're technically working for the captain.
Yes. I guess that's.
He's trying to cover for, but he's trying to take the blame here, and he's trying to get Mickey out of it by saying that it had nothing to do with the sheriff's office. It had nothing to do with Patty. Well, but yet you work for the sheriff's office. Mickey was the one who turned you on to the job. You know, it was Mickey's job before it was his. I don't know how he can, well, I guess because he's trying just to, I guess, take the fall, take all the blame.
An independent contractor.
What was your typical sheriff's department schedule?
Usually just 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, and I'd have everybody report in to me at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. That way I knew.
Has the sheriff's office always been over the monitoring?
They've never been over it, but the last, you know, the current sheriff done the house arrest when he was the bailiff for 16 years.
Do they get the bailiffs to do it so they can go get charges and monitor? Is that why they do it? Because like a civilian,
they would want, you know, law enforcement to be easier to get charges and stuff like that than just a regular person. I don't think that's a standard, but.
Are you still working at sheriff's office?
No.
What was it?
It just made it a lot easier to be able to falsely imprison all of these women.
Conditions of you not working there? What happened?
Misconduct on personal.
Okay. What about the monitoring company? Still working?
No.
Okay. What's the situation there? What they say?
Basically the same thing.
Okay.
So he got
What did you
fired.
do before this?
I worked at the jail for 12 years.
Okay. Deputy jail?
Yeah.
Does anybody else know about?
So he worked at the jail for 12 years before he got fired. So you just guess how long this was going on, and they only charged him with this because this is all they found.
This relationship that you've had with her? Just you?
Is that part of the difficulty in telling us you're still married, right?
Yes.
Well, we're not going to tell anybody. This has nothing to do with all this stuff. Your civil suit.
Two different things.
Two different things. So and I'm not gonna go broadcast that I talked to you. So if you don't tell anybody I was up here, I'm not gonna tell anybody I was up here. Although I've got to go do some other stuff, but I'm not gonna tell them I talked to you. I won't do that. If you're gonna keep that between us, that's fine.
How you proceed with your personal life and
That's
whatever
yours.
you need to do. You won't be us coming and telling or asking your wife questions. She wasn't there, obviously. Nobody's suggested she was there. She's not a witness. We're not coming there. So, you take care of that business however you see fit.
Well, he knew to get a lawyer. Maybe he did that to take the blame. Maybe he was, we don't know, but maybe somebody told him, you better fix this.
Any other questions? I appreciate your cooperation. Hang in there, okay? All this will blow over.
See, he says, hang in there. All this will blow over.
It's all we'll get behind you. That's a guarantee now, I'm telling you.
It's a guarantee.
Keep your head up, be truthful, and keep on climbing them banks like me, buddy.
Stay truthful to make that. No matter who you run across.
If there's anything, just let me know.
All right. Thanks, sir. Appreciate
Thank
your time.
you. Thank you all. It is 2:52. That'll be the end of the recording.
Okay. All right. So we'll stop sharing that. What's everybody think? What's everybody saying? Why would Mickey give up the hustle? Right, because because Mickey was making $115,000 this year. He must not have needed the money, or didn't have the time to do it, where he was the sheriff and had a new job. So I'd say, and it sounds to me like they just hired him. Mickey hired him. He wouldn't look twice at hiring me, but yet he'd hire. If he's already working at the jail for 12 years prior, Mickey knew him, and Mickey knew him really well because he had worked the same amount of time as bailiff for Judge Kevin Mullins. So they knew each other for a long time. Ain't nobody can tell me that everybody down there didn't know what was going on. I thought Ben's wife's name was Barbara. No, Patty is the one that is that was his, I guess, his contact at the monitoring company. I don't know if she was here in Whitesburg, if she lived here in Letcher County, or if it was somebody somewhere else. I don't know. They never really said that. And I didn't catch the last name of who he said she was. His wife's name is Angie, and she was a sergeant at the jail. So they both worked at the jail for a long time. And now his wife, after this incident had happened and everything, they took her out of the jail and they gave her a job up in the courthouse working with the juvenile court. So I don't know what she does up there, but apparently that's where she's at. That's where she's been. And that's probably a much better job. I'm guessing, but I'm guessing it's probably a better paying job, and probably better hours. And so, I mean, kind of looks like they gave her a promotion for being Ben's wife. I don't know. Blows me away. Patty worked for the ankle monitoring company. Yes. Momo Shark. And Holly, we found out in one of the other recordings, Holly is his sister. And his sister is apparently over drug court in Judge Kraft's courtroom. So he was also using his sister as intimidation and threats against these women. Well, if they find more victims, they can charge him with those, right? Well, I'd say that they could, but it doesn't look like anybody is coming forward. Angie is Ben's wife. And look what he got. I mean, he got 6 months in jail. If you were one of these victims, or if you were married and your husband didn't know what he was doing to you, because that's what both of these women, one of them's husband found out and the other one's boyfriend found out. And they, that one said, I did not want to do that with him, She loved her husband. She said, if this wouldn't have happened, I would have never done that to my husband. Like, could you imagine what that would cause in between your spouse? Fleming Neon Fire Chief Carter Bevins swore a lie. Well, I'm not really sure what that was about. I know Carter very well. I asked him to go to court for me and on my behalf when I went through my big mess with him down there. And the only way that I knew him so well was that their grandson played on the same baseball team that my boys did. And I've always done photography and videography of their ball games and stuff. And and he knew that I was a good mom. He knew how much time and effort I spent on my kids and all that stuff. Sorry, all the dogs are going crazy. Somebody's out there beeping. But I asked him to go to court with me on my behalf, and he said, well, I can't do that. And I said, well, why not? And he said, well, my wife would kill me. And I said, what? Why would your wife care if you were doing the right thing? You see what they're trying to do to me. He said, well, I'm sorry. I can't do that. No way. I can't do that. My wife wouldn't. Are you joking me? So I kind of really lost a lot of respect for him when that happened. Dixie Dawn. Wow. Fool knows he's recorded, right? Yeah. And in the documents that I've got to show you all, it shows who the uncle is. And I was right. It's Bill Meade. He is the same fire chief that we saw the newspaper article that he was charged with R-ing a 14-year-old girl. And he took it to trial. He tried to run away from it and everything. He didn't show up. They ended up having to go get him. But he didn't get much time. And he's an old man. So I'd say he got probation, probably. Let's see. He must have forgot to edit that part out. Right. So he R'd her consensually. Guarantee. Wow. Yep. Kicked off the fire department when I put my name on the ballot because I'm Lawson Dishman grandson, and they knew I was going to stop the rugs and corruption. Yeah, that's the way it happens around here, honey. I know. I'm sorry it happened to you, though. Someone should be done about the way they handled the females involved in this. The way they were spoke to was disgraceful. It sure was. Hi, Jelly Bean. Hi. You're so beautiful. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm here. Christmas party at work today. Had a few, not chatting. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here, honey. Bad company all around. Yeah. if under duress, can legally be considered consensual. Now, through all of this scandalous behavior, what could it have been that sent Mickey over the edge? So Mickey did know. I mean, we don't know. Honestly, we don't know. We really, really don't know. In the reports, the investigative reports that Matt Easter put together, we're going to read those. I want to get through these comments first, though, and we've about 2 hours. I don't want to overwhelm everybody with information. So we'll probably just leave this one tonight with this audio, and then tomorrow we can dig through some of those documents, because I mean, I've got 25,000 pages of documents from this case, and a lot of it we don't need to see. A lot of it's redacted, phone records and stuff like that. We've got all the jail log records for when they were coming in the door and when they were going out and stuff, and it shows everybody's logs. It shows Judge Mullins, it shows it shows everybody who accessed in and out, it shows. But I don't think we can learn anything from any of that. So, but I did screen record parts of it that we are interested in, so we don't have to dig through all that junk. John, that's why they don't want people like you in there, to keep everything flowing the way they want it. That's right. It's my opinion too. He makes no sense. Survey says all who were working there. You ran for judge or sheriff? I ran for judge executive a few years ago, but as soon as I put my name in the hat, I knew I'd messed up, and I never even tried to campaign. I didn't do anything, and I got as many votes as anybody else did that lost. But I didn't want it. After I did it, I was like, no, that was a big mistake. I should never have done that. There is nothing that would make me believe that this started with Ben Fields, especially if the judge was actually involved. And we don't know yet, we just don't know. Is Patty a fictitious character in this story? She could be. I sure don't know of her. Kathy M. In the popular world, it's all good. I've heard they have courthouse employees from all over the state coming in to work in everyone's positions. I don't know. I think it could have started with Ben Fields. Well, there's been rumors about inappropriate behavior up there for a long, 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 long time. So I doubt it started with Ben. Popo, not popular. I'm so happy to be seeing you live. I've followed this case from the day it happened, and I'm just across the Pike-Letcher line, Kentucky Rose. Thank you for being here. Welcome to our channel. I'm in Jenkins, so you're not very far. We're going to do a meet and greet, a hillbilly crime meet and greet sometime. I'm not really sure when. We've got some people who live far away from here who want to come in and see us. So that'll be fun. We'll have to do a poll or something and see when the best time for everybody would be. Ben's sister is over rug court. Dang family affair. Generations, I'm sure. Well, in the recording of one of the victims, she said that Ben's sister, Holly, was over the drug court. And that was when he told her to run. He said, hey, my sister's in there today, and if she sees you, you're going to get locked back up. So you need to get out of here. You need to run. And so she ran. And then his uncle, I guess, called her on the phone and propositioned her. And so she called Ben and said, hey, your uncle's a Irv Pay. You know, he's calling me, hitting on me or whatever. And he said, well, I guess he just laughed. And he said, well, he can help you. He's got pull in the courthouse. He can really help you. And so according to her attorney, Ned Pillersdorf, she followed through with that. Well, isn't that sex trafficking? Why would that not be? Why would it not be? Because he basically, handed her off to his uncle. And, then he gets charged with the 14-year-old. Well, and if he had so much pull with the court, how did he have so much pull with the court? I don't understand that. And who was the one that decided he didn't have no more pull? I just think it's all a big bunch of BS. Sounds like his wife got a leg up. No pun intended. Allegedly, Lisa. I love it. So did he get 6 months because he helped with an investigation into higher ups? No, I don't think so. No, we've not heard anything about the higher ups. It looks to me like they got Ben, they got a confession, they got a plea bargain, and they shut the door on the case. And since one of them passed away, he didn't have to face those charges for her, not the criminal charges. Now, the civil suit still has her as her estate is represented, even though she's passed away. So whoever her beneficiaries would be, or whoever's over her estate, which, you probably don't have much. But once the civil suit goes through, who's going to pay that is what I'd like to know. Every sheriff's department, our Letcher County Sheriff's Department, whenever a new sheriff comes in, they have to start at zero with their funds. Their bank account starts with zero, and then they're responsible to self-fund. Who's going to pay this civil suit? The citizens of Letcher County? The fiscal court? I don't know. I'd love to know the answer. I wish we had a lawyer that we could talk to that would have a lot of the answers to these questions. He harassed her. And at the end of the disposition that we're going to look at tomorrow, it has him charged with 2 different charges of stalking. After they accepted the plea bargain for the charges that he pled guilty to, it also had 2 charges of stalking on there that they were setting for like a conference. And it doesn't show the disposition, the ending disposition of those charges. So that's very interesting. I'd like to know what ended up happening with the stalking charges, and who would that have been for these 2 victims? I'd say it would have to be, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Ron Reynolds being unhonest appears to be the way to be proper around there, in my opinion. Wasn't it Ben who was accused of jerking a kid around in a chair at LCC? I don't know. I've not heard that. But if anybody else has or knows about it, let me know. And anybody who hasn't seen it, if you ever want to send me anything, it's hillbillycrime@gmail.com. So you can send me an email anytime. Are Benfield's records sealed? No, that's where we got all of this stuff from. Came from the Attorney General's office. public records request. And I've got it all, Julesy B. I've got it all, honey. But there's a lot of it. And it just seems like such a waste for 6 months in jail. 5 years supervised probation, 2 years unsupervised probation. And is that in Letcher County, where he's real big buddies with all of our probation officers? Carter was a part of the corruption. Well, you remember several years ago, a certain person at the Neon Fire Department was charged with embezzlement and a whole lot of it. And then the next thing you knew, he got probation, and it was very, very hush hush. Very, very hush hush. Are you able to share? Oh, yeah. Pics. Let me go get a picture of him and see. I might have to pull it up this way. Give me just a second, and I'll show you, Ben. I have put pictures of him up on the thumbnails of a couple of the videos. So, but I've got a couple pictures here. Let me pull them up here. Screenshots. Okay. Give me a second here. I've got a couple pictures of him here, a couple different ones, and they're a little bit different. So here we go. Window. Oops. Stop sharing. Share screen. There we go. Okay. Let me exit this out. Okay. See if I can make it bigger. All right, you all. So, you see my pointer? Can you see the pointer? Now, this one back here in the back, in the middle, that's Mickey Steins. That's our ex-sheriff in the middle. This guy all the way over here to the right-hand side with the goatee and the mustache, that's Ben with the short sleeves in the brown deputy's uniform. That's Ben. Now, and then you see these three females. The two on the ends, they worked in the office. The one in the middle, the little young girl, she was a deputy. This guy all the way to the left-hand side, here in the front, or in the middle row, all the way to the left, that is our new sheriff. That's Billy Jones. And he worked as a school resource officer at the LCC high school. So he's our new sheriff, which I think was he worked with these people. He worked with them for a long time, I reckon. I don't know how long. I don't know how long he had been there, but he'd been there for a little while, because this was in 2022. And this was taken before he was fired. So, but there's Mickey in the middle, and that's Ben all the way to the end on the right. Uncle of who? Lord, I need a character chart. Ben's uncle, who was a fire chief at Kings Creek Fire Department. Ben basically passed off one of these victims to his uncle, and his uncle, she went and was with the uncle because he told her, Ben had told her, he could help her. And so the uncle didn't get charged in any of this. He didn't get charged with these victims. The only thing the uncle got charged with was an entirely different case with a 14-year-old girl. Yeah. Honestly, how can the parents not be upset with all the corruption? How can anybody not be upset about it? I wonder why we haven't seen Sabrina in any interviews or anything. Her lawyer's probably doing it for her. Like Ned Pillersdorf is the one who you see really representing her. It probably wouldn't be smart for her to talk right now with the civil case pending. I think Meade, old man guy, was maybe the uncle. Yep, Bill Meade. Yep, it says it in the documents that I got. So that's who it was. I said yesterday I thought it was going to be Bill Meade because they said that was his mother's brother. So he was an uncle, and it was on the front page of the paper whenever it happened. Did Ewans notice the cop in the middle of the pic here? Looks like he's showing off his wedding ring. Let me hide that. It does, doesn't it? Or doing a sign. That's some kind of a G sign. That's Deputy Norris. That is Deputy Norris. And I said yesterday, I think it was, or it might have been the day before, that I had heard that Norris had resigned right after this. But one of our viewers said that he was still in uniform. So, and then whenever I was researching and reading all this stuff, it said that Seth Whitaker had quit. So we might have gotten them two mixed up. So from what I heard from one of our viewers was that Deputy Norris was still working and was still in uniform. So that must not have been right. So I wanted to make sure I said that. Let's see. Let me get back to where I was at. I've lost my place. Wasn't it Ben who was accused? Oh, okay. So I didn't go too far. Now, there we are. Last place, Meade. So is Mickey hoping for some jury nullification? I bet he is, y'all. I bet he is. Hey, Georgia Culture. Glad you caught us. Welcome, welcome. As you can see, the rest of the flaws. Yeah. Oops, late replay crew. That's all right. Welcome, Twitchy Bear. Hello, honey. And something else I wanted to point out. This female on the front row, all the way to the right, she's been there forever. She was there as one of the secretaries or whatever it is that she does there. I'm not really sure. I think she just runs the office. But she was there under Danny Webb. And then whenever Danny Webb left office and Mickey came in, he needed to keep somebody who knew how to run the office. Which, I'm sure he probably knew her and everything else, but he kept her. He didn't keep anybody else from the prior administration, but he kept her. And I don't know who this redheaded lady on the other end is right here. I don't know who she is. I think you could do 2 or 3 hour sessions every time and not overwhelm us or get not even HLF the info or half the info out. I know, honey. I know. That's probably about true. It's been about 2 hours and 15 minutes. My eyes are burning a little bit once I've stared at the screen for a long time. I need the file. I sat here all day today, y'all, and read through it, and there's just a whole lot of it. I only took the pieces that we needed, and I tried to leave everything else. I've had more ads and ad videos pop up in this live than any other one. Really? I'm sorry. I don't know how YouTube does that. I don't have any control over it, honey. I'm sorry. Lynn Foley just joined your channel. Glad to be here. Let me just say this. The way in which the women were talked to and treated is the exact reason more women do not come forward in cases of SA. Yeah, and in one of these documents, the investigator, it was in one of his reports, the investigator calls somebody and asks them about their experience, and they say, well, we'll tell you, but we need you to help me with some charges that I'm facing right now. And he says, oh, no, I can't do that. We can't help you with any of your charges. And they said, well, we don't see how, if we talk to you, that it's going to help us in any way. And so they didn't talk to him. And it was supposedly another victim. And it didn't look like he tried anymore after that to talk to her. So that's just another failure in investigations. The cop in the middle really seems like a good cop. Never no bad attitude. Guess it's a good marriage. I've spoken to him a few times down at the jail when I was there to visit somebody, and he was a nice guy. I've never seen anything out of him that was bad, but I don't know him, like I said. I ran for sheriff, and Mickey is the person who walked me downstairs to the jail. Oh. Stairs to the jail. Did you run before the situation with your son? No, it was after that. But I ended up having everything. All of my stuff was dismissed. But if you don't have something like that expunged off your record, then it still stays on there that you were charged with something. So I had mine expunged, and it just, it just goes to show you how they are down there. Like, what's his name? Our Commonwealth attorney, Edison Banks. He fought me over getting it expunged. Like, he didn't even want me to be able to expunge it. He argued that it wasn't time yet, that I had to wait a little bit longer. And but I eventually got it expunged. We might do that. I'm pretty knowledgeable about how to go about expunging your record, your criminal record. I had put together a program for EKU when I was in school as a student project to help people expunge their criminal records. And so we might do a video on that one day and just talk to people and guide them on how you can do it yourself, because you don't have to have a lawyer. I did it all myself. Lawyers wanted $5,000 to do it or to even look at it. You can do it yourself. It's easy. I'm in New York, but I was born in Kentucky. John Hall, did your arrest happen before the election or after? That's crazy. Oh, you must have been. I bet you was talking to John Hall instead of me, wasn't you? Maybe Mickey could see his own daughter going down the same road as the SA victims and decided to nip it in the bud. Well, they all should realize these were daughters too. Yeah, everybody's somebody's daughter. Let me know. I have a home in Bell, Bell County. That's right on the other side of Harlan County. I'm in Mississippi, but Letcher County doesn't sound like a place I'd like to visit. And that's sad. That's very, very sad. The people who run all of, like, tourism, they're trying to bring all this tourism to Letcher County. Well, but when you've got stuff like this going on, that's exactly right, Dixie Down. Who wants to come here? Who wants to risk coming here with all this stuff going on? Holly's husband, Jason, worked at the courthouse too. Don't surprise me one bit. Wonder if Ben ever crossed state lines with inmates for activity. And we're right on the Virginia County line, so what, 10-minute ride and you'd be in Virginia? What's the update on the civil suit? From what I understood in the last article that they printed, they're looking for a settlement. So it probably won't go to trial. It'll be settled out of court. Does anyone know if Mickey was involved or tired of the corruption? We just don't know yet. All we know is what, really has been reported and all this stuff that we can kind of dig up through through our own investigative ways. I'm glad that we're talking about adults in this and not any children. Weird, though, because of the initial accusation of judge and underage daughter. I know. Gavin said something the other night last night when I was on there with him. He said one thing that he had learned is everything within like the first, what did he say, 2 weeks, isn't true. That's kind of the way that it goes. Please invite Lana from Truth and Transparency. Well, I sure would if she would come. I don't know. I might not be big enough yet. But she's more than welcome to come if she'd come. Absolutely. Union would pay, wouldn't they? I don't know if the union has anything to do with Sheriff's Department. Good question, Treva. I can't grasp what would cause him to take the judge. Well, his wife lawyered up because she worked in the jail. She knows how it goes down. Well, he should have too. He should have too. I sincerely think Mickey knew nothing was going to be done to Judge legally and was going to take the fall. Well, if we're just saying speculating, if the judge had been doing anything bad and Mickey had, being his bailiff, had witnessed that or even participated in the first 10 years that he was bailiff, and then he becomes sheriff and then goes out, and then if one of his deputies goes in and kind of takes over doing that kind of stuff, I could see how Mickey would be upset if he was getting ready to go down in this big civil suit and stuff, and him and Ben were going to be taking the fall and lose everything if he thought that Judge had been the one to start the environment, if he thought Judge had created that environment and that ability. But I just don't see how the judge can be held responsible for what this yahoo was doing, because he was obviously doing it after hours. He had keys to the courthouse, which means he could go in after it closed and everybody else was gone. And he was taking her in there in the morning before it even opened. And the jail is in the basement, and the jail's open 24/7, and they've got guards and stuff down there. And so I can see how he would be able to do it, and get away and, do it behind everybody's back. But, I don't know. You get used to like your coworkers and the way that things are done. You spend more time with your coworkers and at your job than you do at home usually. And I've always heard people say, "Oh, well, this is my work wife," or "That's my work husband," because you get really close. You spend so much time with them. So I just don't see how people didn't know. Most offices have BOBDS to cover some things. Sometimes there is a liability insurance in place. Well, maybe. I mean, we'll find out whenever the lawsuit is settled. They'll tell us where the money comes from. I feel sure. Lana wanted you to reach out to her at one point. You don't have email listed. Yeah, it's hillbillycrime@gmail.com. Tell her to holler at me. Ben was stalking. You don't hear anything like that being said in the recordings, unless it's where the one female said that he was calling her every day and he was coming to her house all the time. And, so I don't know. That could be where the stalking came from. I'm not sure. We'll look at it tomorrow, though. All those documents, there's several of them that we'll dig into tomorrow. And we'll reread it. You could try getting a hold of Lawyer Lee. She's an attorney on YouTube. All right. The taxpayers will have to pay it. It's so refreshing to meet you. You are one smart cookie. Well, thank you, Miss Rogers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Stay and hang out with us. Thank you. I think I hear your dog snoring. Yeah. She used to be a fighting machine. She'd want to whoop everything that moved. She's like a big yellow lab or something. She's not no purebred. She's a mutt, I'm sure. But now that she's old, her hips are disintegrating in the back, and she just has such a hard time. So I know within the next year or two, it's going to be time to help her with the vet, and it just breaks my heart. Did they charge you for the records? Well, somebody else actually put in for it, and then they gave me everything that they got. I don't think there was any charge, because I know Gavin put in a request the other night, and he got everything that I got. So, and I don't think he had to pay for it, but he didn't say, so I don't know. But he had them like that. He put the request in, and he received them real quick. So I don't think they had a charge with them. I was surprised, like hearing some of the YouTubers talk about how much money it cost for the Maddie Soto case files and a lot of these other cases. It was like thousands and thousands of dollars for the records, and that just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. If Mickey was losing his family, he had nothing else to lose. Why not? Pew pew. My Boston Terrier is quite the snoring machine. Yeah. I try to kind of like push her and wake her up a little bit, but man, she snores loud. I've gotten so used to it now, though, I can't hardly sleep without them. I got 3 big dogs. 1 old and 2 they're 2 or 3 years old. I just had to put my old man to sleep last winter. He was a 24-year-old deaf and blind Shih Tzu. And he was my baby. I loved him so much. But he had testicular cancer, and it was pretty bad on him. Let's see. So why was he losing his family? Exactly. Like, we don't even know. We don't even know if it's really true that she kicked him out. That's what one of those national reporters had said on one of the news channels. She said that her source had said that his wife had kicked him out the night before, and that's why he was not in his uniform, because you never saw Mickey out of uniform. Same with like this Ben dude. Nobody ever saw Ben out of uniform either. You never saw Mickey out of uniform. I never did. Not one time did I ever see him out of uniform. Hi, babe. Boys home?
I somehow played good against the number one shooter in the state.
He said Alan had a basketball game tonight, and he said he played good against the number one shooter in the state. Yay!
Y'all
But they lost.
by 50
By 50, he said.
on each team.
But he still played good. Oh, bless his heart. Bless his heart. Yeah, if you've not subscribed or hit the like button, please hit it for us, because it really helps our channel. It helps put us out to new people who might not have seen us before. They never get the uppers. Yeah, I know. See, do y'all have a select board there that runs the town? Well, Whitesburg has a mayor, and they have a city council, and and then Letcher County has a fiscal court. So, I mean, kinda. Have you received any local backlash for covering this? No, I haven't. I have received nothing but support and love. I've not had any hate at all. Not the first time. So that's good. So why can't Google come up with anything on Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services, Inc.? That is the monitoring company name listed in the lawsuit. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I had heard something about there was like a new owner or something. Like maybe they had tried to sell the company to somebody, and they hadn't transferred ownership properly or something. So we're going to have to try to figure out what that's all about, because I'm not really sure about any of that. I can't get a definitive answer on that part. Have you gotten support for covering this? Yes. I do. And I'm very thankful. Listen, I was just telling you guys the other night that my son was trying to be the 3,000th subscriber. And let me look. Right before we came on tonight, look here. We got 3,983. So 17 more and we'll have 4,000. That's great. Yay! Oh, thank you, Vesper. Thank you, honey. Bless you. Yeah, this is my full-time job now, y'all. I am on it. We won't miss a day. I might take a Saturday or a Sunday off, but for the most part, we're going to be doing 6 days a week shows. Got to have a job. I'd say secretly she supported a lot of peeps are afraid to show or say anything. Listen, I get emails and messenger messages all the time from people who want to share with me their stories, and they want me, or I don't know if they want to, but they all say you can share my story. Just keep my name anonymous. So we're gonna do a show on that stuff too. I've got so much that we need to do shows on, but so we're just gonna have to kind of break it up into pieces. But yeah, everybody's been really great. I haven't heard anybody say anything mean to me yet. So, but I know it's coming, y'all. I know it's coming. You kind of got to get some thick skin. Kathy M., do you mean city council? A city has a mayor and there are council members. The county has a judge executive and magistrates of the county fiscal court. Yep. It is rumored, Dixie. Let's see. Is the gray-haired woman involved or the redhead? I don't know. I'm thinking it's got to be one of these three that voluntarily turned their phone in when Mickey did what he did at the courthouse. So one of these females is the one who the cop was talking about in the hearing that had a communication with Mickey before he went over there. I just don't know which one of them it was, but it was one of those three. That might be the Illuminati. Well, somebody asked me the other day if Mickey was a Mason, and someone else was also watching and saw that question, and they emailed me and said yes, that Mickey was one of the top, whatever that means. He was high up in the Masons. So I don't know what that means. If any of you guys know what that means, you let me know, because I don't have any real experience or knowledge about Masons. I know it's a secret society, and that's all I know. There are city police and county law enforcement is the sheriff and the deputies. Jail is run by the jailer and deputy jailers. Yeah. It's not. They usually do all the hiring for the city and handle the budget, like in Canton, Massachusetts. I just thought it might be a Commonwealth thing. Well, the sheriff's department is self-funded. So the county doesn't fund the sheriff's department. That's what they've said in previous interviews and statements. So the sheriff's department has to fund itself. That's why it always starts over at zero when a new sheriff takes over. And then they're responsible through, taxes and tickets and whatever it is that they do. Their confiscations. They're responsible for taking care of their own budgeting and stuff. So when Danny Webb was sheriff, they were, from what it looks like to me, going back and looking at all of these news reports and stuff, it looks like they were constantly in the hole or in deficit. They just did not budget their money well at all. And they were constantly asking the judge executive and the fiscal court to give them money, taxpayer money, then to pay off their deficits of what they were mismanaging and whatnot. And from what it looked like that Jim Ward, who was our previous judge executive, Jim Ward stated in one of those interviews that we saw in one of my old videos, he said that the fiscal court had given the sheriff's department over $2.7 million in like the previous 10 years before that, over time, over that 10-year period. That's how much money the taxpayer money had been given to the sheriff's department for their own deficits. Well, finally, whenever Danny Webb was getting ready to go out of office, he ended up laying all of his deputies off. He didn't have any deputies that were working when he left office because he couldn't afford to pay their paychecks. And he was asking the fiscal court to give them more money so they could at least put a retirement out for their deputies. And they already had one. So it looked like the way that they were trying to do it, they were trying to give their deputies a double retirement. And thank God that vote on the fiscal court didn't pass. It failed. And they didn't get the money that they were requesting. But if it was up to the Adams guy that was the magistrate then, but they're twins, so I don't know if he was the one or if it was his brother, but it was either the judge executive now or his twin brother. But honey, the interviews that I saw him give, he was mad because he voted for the sheriff's department to get that money. He wanted them to have that money. I mean, and he's our judge executive now. And that's what I said before. What was his qualifications to do that? What, just because he had been a magistrate? He was a heating and cooling guy. And he's made some really poor decisions when it comes to finances for our county, in my opinion, of course. I did not realize how wonderful Jim Ward was until after he was out of office. I wish we'd vote Jim Ward back in there, though. Reelect Hogg is a poster from the days of Circuit Judge Hogg. Oh, that's sticker in the back. Yeah, and then you see Kraft up there. And Jimmy Kraft, who's the judge, the circuit court judge now, his daddy is James Wiley Kraft, who just passed away not too awful long ago. But he used to be the prosecutor in Whitesburg, and then he became the mayor of Whitesburg. And he married a little girl that's about 50 years younger than him. And then whenever he passed away, a beauty queen, whenever he passed away, she became mayor. But I guess being married to one makes you experienced. My opinion, he's trying to have his case tried in Letcher County so he can beat the charges because of the corruption pool. Well, his case is already done. Oh, you're talking about Mickey? So he can beat the charges because of the corruption pool. Well, you're probably right. He's looking for jury nullification and having it in Letcher County, I can tell you. You are just about to hit 4,000. I know. Yay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, y'all. I didn't know what I was going to do. Honestly, I did not know what I was going to do when I lost my job. Like, we'd been homeless. We wouldn't be able to stay warm. We wouldn't been able to eat. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, when you're a single mom and you're responsible for everything and you have absolutely zero financial help, it's a very stressful situation when you lose your job. So I'm very, very thankful. I've said it before. I don't know if you guys have heard me say it, but the day that I lost my job, I was going out the holler, and at the very end of my holler, there's a church sign, and it says, "Trust God's timing. It's always perfect." And I held on to that. I had no idea what it meant or what I was going to do, but I believed it. And look here, God gave me another way. I still ain't made enough to pay my bills yet, but I'm working on it. I'm almost there. So as long as I can just pay my bills every month and we can eat and I can feed my kids, that's all I care about. Hopefully you're getting paid for every ad. They're worth it if you are. I'm not really sure how that all works. But YouTube has a really, really great studio, analytics, so you can see every bit of the analysis about your channel, and it's really great. Was Seth the one with the nasty tags on Instagram? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. But I have all of Ben's Facebook messages. I have all of his posts. I have a ton of it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. We're going to go through it. We support you, Hillbilly Crime, and thank you for you, and thank you for the streams. Well, thank you all for being here, because it sure wouldn't be here if you guys didn't watch. I'm surprised they are playing ads during a live. I have a subscription or I'd go crazy. I've been spoiled with ad-free for too long. I'm sorry. 2 ads for me so far. I've had about 4. I'm sorry, y'all. I disagree. I feel that it very well maybe be that Mickey did not know and Patty did not. Ben figured out to use his unique situation to do what he wanted to do, or maybe do something he here. See, I don't know. I cut off your message there. I mean, you know, it could. He could have been doing it. Nobody knew. But that's okay. We can disagree, Miss Vanessa. I can still love you. That's all right. Norris seemed to be by the book, but I don't know. I can't dislike all of them. No. And I don't dislike all police officers either. I mean, no. I just don't like people that abuse or maybe I shouldn't say I don't like people. I don't like it when people abuse their position and their power to take advantage of someone who's in a more vulnerable position. You know, it's not. I mean, my brain don't think like that. But according to that detective, you know, we're all guys. You know, I know how it is, dude. It's late. It's nighttime. Somebody's messaging you. I don't think that's no excuse. Glad to be here. I keep up best I can. My dog Rex. So does it pick back up before the ad, or you miss that part? No, I don't think you miss it. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really sure. YouTube places them wherever they say that, or wherever they think is the best place for it to go or something. I don't have any control over that part. I'd love to help getting a friend's charges expunged. He paid $3,000 and the lawyer just got his voting rights. Charges were in Tennessee. Well, every state is different on how they do it, but we can absolutely look up Tennessee's and we can just follow the directions. A lot of people just don't realize it's that simple. Just follow the directions. But I'll do a show on it and we'll pull it all up and talk about it and read it and see what you're supposed to do. I skip the ads as soon as I can. Yeah, I always did too. I did. I finally got me a premium subscription. Probably found Virginia. Let's see. Tennessee is bad, Dixie. Search the net for David Tullis Mandamus. Maybe do a video of Raven Rock and Bad Branch Falls to show good tourist spots. Yeah, we could. We could, absolutely. $100 a pop on expungement, pretty sure. Well, as long if it's a dismissed charge, it's all free. As long as the charge was dismissed, it's free. If it's a misdemeanor, in Kentucky now, if it's a misdemeanor, it was $100. If it's a felony, it's $500. But if it was a dismissed case, it's free. All you have to do is just do the paperwork and go to court. Well, I think you have to pay for the certification. You have to do a certification through the Kentucky State Police first, and there's a few steps to it. So, but we'll go through it. We'll do a video on expungement, and I'll help anybody that needs help with it. Yes, each charge. It's not the charge, it's the case. So you could have 5 charges under one case number, and all you're paying for is that case number. So you only have to pay it once per case number. Doesn't matter how many charges you have under that case number. Just a little tip. Letcher County is beautiful and secluded, but Letcher County missed their opportunity back probably 40 years ago when coal was doing good. Just think, we could have been better than Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but none of the rich around here wanted to make something of it. Well, my mommy's always said that back in the 60s, I don't know who it was, but one of the big representatives or officials, politicians had come in here and they were wanting to flood this whole area and make it like the big lake down in Tennessee. I'm not sure what the name of it was, but make it like one of those big lakes in Tennessee. And if they had done that, man, could you imagine what the property value would be now around here? It would be just like it is down in Tennessee. I mean, it would be a great tourism place. But instead of doing that, you've got all these poor bottoms. You've got all these places that were flooded when the flood came in because so many homes were in floodplains. So many houses, $100,000 and $200,000 homes were just destroyed, and people lost everything that they had. All the rich sections were down in floodplains. Wants more money, $5 to not see those ads. Yeah. I always dreamed of putting an amusement park in Kona. I always wanted to put in like a line, one of the things that you could ride on, zip line. I want to do a zip line, and put in some kind of like a water slide coming off of one of these mountains, like a tunnel water slide. Things like that would be very good for this area. But you can't even get like the Jenkins Lake. It desperately needs to be dredged. Every summer, the entire lake gets completely taken over with lily pads. You can't even fish out of it. You pull up so many lily pads. And just little maintenance, or not little, but maintenance things, stuff like that needs to be done. But it looks to me like they are starting to get more grants in through some of these programs. These organizations, these nonprofit groups are bringing in a lot of grant money. And so they're getting ready to do something here in Jenkins. I'm not really sure what, but at the city council meeting, they were talking about the grants that they were putting in for. And Neon has gotten a whole bunch of grants recently for their water, which they have desperately needed for a very long time. But the same kind of situation applies. You need people in these positions who at least know what they're doing when it comes to like budgeting and accounting and stuff. I think you would be a good judge of your county, and Mickey needs to be in the same position as before he did that, because no one would believe that the judge was doing it. I didn't believe it when I first heard it at all. Gatlinburg is overwhelmed with the corrupt courts and wealthy Diamond. But the more stories that I've heard, of personal stories, privately, that people have messaged me, wolves come in sheep's clothing. So The devil doesn't come in sitting dressed in red and carrying a pitchfork. But you better believe the devil is sitting in the front row of every church on Sunday morning. You just don't recognize him. Got you live, sent you text. Well, good. I haven't been able to check anything since I get them out. Yeah, just skip them if you want to, y'all. I'm sorry. But it's the only way I get paid. So I kind of got to. Sounds more like Ben took what he could get and no need to stalk. Well, yeah. So I'm not sure what those stalking charges. A lot of it is redacted, but we'll read it tomorrow. Where I lived here all my life, going in some of these other locations of the county, I often wonder what happened. Like over in Harlan, Neon, etc. We used to have skating rinks, movies, etc. Yep. There is some. All the old movie theaters, though, are all broke down. Like none of them still worked. Who would have been the one to have filmed the judge and a woman? Did Ben get him a woman and set up a camera for blackmail? Who? I don't know. In the documents that we're going to look at tomorrow, that detective says that he finally reaches Chad Brown, the man who's supposed to have had the tapes. And he says that Chad Brown said that he didn't have a videotape. He didn't have a VHS tape. He had an audio tape of Judge Mullins in his chambers with a girl. But he did not want to talk to the investigator. He had warrants on him at the time, so he wasn't trying to come and meet him and then go to jail. And it says in there that he just didn't want to talk to him. And he wasn't about to turn over what he had to the investigator. So that was kind of interesting. So they have not found, even though these allegations have been made, they still don't have any kind of video or any evidence that Judge was doing anything other than what these women have said. So far, but it didn't look to me like they really tried, If they were willing to work with some of these witnesses, they probably would have gotten more information. But it looks to me like they were not willing to do any legwork. They were telling the victims to go get this information and this evidence for them. Which, I get it to a certain extent. But, sometimes you have to actually do a little bit of work. Sometimes it takes a little bit of elbow grease. I know that my jobs that I've had, my bosses wouldn't have just taken that. If I would have said, oh, well, I didn't really try, or I called them and I couldn't get them. I don't know. For any jobs that I've ever had before, if I was trying to pass something like that off, they'd been like, I want this outcome, so you need to do what you need to do to get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It just looked like they weren't really trying. Nice old buildings around here. Most everybody is related to each other in some way, shape, or form with each other, and all the secrets of it all finally erupted. The whole situation that has to be dealt with diligently. To be sure to type in your address at the end for other channels info. I have the email address in the description, in the channel description. So you can go to my channel description and get my email address. And I'll try to remember to run in and put it in this one too. How old is she? Your dog? Mine is having her hip problem. She's about 15. She's about 15. It's heartbreaking. I hope there's something the vet can do. Yeah, I had an old pit bull, John Gotti, years ago, and his hips completely disintegrated and to where he had to, like, he couldn't walk at all. His back legs were completely gone, and he drug himself with his front legs. We ended up having to have him put to sleep too, and he was about that age, 14 or 15. Kind of like that TikTok funny video of the hillbilly lady who opens the door to her trailer and says, Uncle, Daddy, Mama, Sister said, she said, come get it. And she means super this time. My Maine Coon cat can outsnore all y'all. I love Maine Coons. They are the most beautiful. I want one, but I got 4 cats already. Rescues. I clean litter boxes more than I do anything. I'm OCD about a cat litter box. I think that OP left 40 or 50 years ago. 24 years old. Yes, he was. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Crystal. Yes. And I disassociated it some way with Bacon. I loved that dog so much. He was just so pitiful, and he was at anybody's mercy, when I had him put to sleep, I was, for somehow, I don't know how I did it, but I was able to like kind of disassociate from the whole thing. And as long as I don't think about it or talk about him, I still haven't cried, because I know if I start crying, I won't stop. So I just can't think about it. You're great. Keep it up, my friend. You're going straight to the top, hon. Prayers. Will you just keep on praying for me, honey? Please, please, please. Vanessa, Elizabeth, we need one more interview. I've almost crocheted one blanket over past days of interviews. Yay! I think you could rehab, but the local judges and cops would probably make life hard. Thank you, you guys. Did they ever apprehend you or anything and then try their stupid stuff on your own self? What? No, I've never had anybody proposition me that way from law enforcement. I always get myself in trouble with calling them out, like telling them, I don't know, saying something that they don't like. But with my situation, the only thing that made them so mad with me is that I hired a lawyer, because I saw what was coming. Somebody asked me earlier why I'd hired the lawyer. I hired the lawyer because I could see what was coming. And when I went and talked to Ned and hired him, he even said, he was like, why are you here? You don't have any criminal charges against you. And I said, no, I know. But they're coming at me so hard about this, opening this social services case. I need an attorney. And so he didn't think it was going to be anything. He just wrote the letter letting them know that that I had an attorney, that he was going to be my attorney and represent me or whatever. And if they had any questions, or if they needed to talk to me anymore or anything, then they needed to contact him. But they didn't respect that at all. Like, they just pretended like I didn't even have an attorney. And they sidestepped him in every way that they could. And that made them so mad that I had hired a lawyer and was fighting them, that's when they went, and I wasn't arrested. They took it to a grand jury. They took everything to a grand jury and lied. They got in there and bold-faced lied and misled that jury to return an indictment on me, so that way they could use the indictment as substantiated material to then open a case against me. They didn't have any substantiated evidence to open a case against me before that. But they actually legally couldn't even use that. Not an indictment. It wasn't a conviction. So legally, they really couldn't do that. But who was above them? Who was over them? There wasn't nobody that was watching. They did what they wanted to do. And they're so used to working together down there. The prosecutor's office, the grand jury, all of them, social services, whichever outcome or avenue that they want, or they decide they want to go with somebody, well, all they have to do is go talk to somebody else, and they can get situations created how they want to. Like they know how to use and abuse the system to get what they want, whether it's legal or not, because who's going to stop them? Ain't nobody cares about us down here. You see what the Attorney General's office did, and it took a civil suit actually being filed, not threatened, filed, before they ever even came in and investigated. So, oh yeah, we've seen it. We see it all the time in many different situations. You're not being targeted in any way. So great to hear. You are informing everyone in your area. Such a personal case for you locals. Bless your hearts. Yeah, I don't have any retaliation at all. I'm not scared of them. I mean, what are they going to do? I don't do anything besides take my kids to school and take them to ball games and take pictures and videos of ball games. I'm not out running the streets. That happened in my county too. They were supposed to have built a men's homeless shelter here. Then no one has seen it or where it is, or a word is not said about it. Well, the only homeless shelter we have is in Pikeville. And, staffing decisions aren't always the best in any job. So it's the one thing that is a very, very common thing that you can see similar from rural people and towns all over the United States, or the town you live in. Know when you take your first steps out of the bed at times. Yeah. This is the definition of criminal business. Criminal. Where are all the other recordings? Well, we listened to one last night, and then we listened to one the night before that, and I think we listened to one the night before that. So go check out the last 3 or 4 lives that we've done, and you'll hear them. Group message that was on the lady's phone. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Kind of off subject, but have you all really heard much more about the Joseph Couch stuff? No, I'm not really. That's not ringing a bell right off. But let me write that down and I'll look into it. Joseph Couch. Okay. The Masons and Illuminati go hand in hand. Well, I know nothing about Masons, so I'm not even going to try and offer anything to say. There's tons of negatives on Masons. With everything, there's good and bad. My husband is a Mason, and as far as I know, it's good. That could change. Such crim and denial. Funny business. I love it. I love it. I love it. Masons is clubs. One of the first degrees is riding the goat. It can be sexual stuff too. Watch now, UCTV on YouTube. I have for years. David Q used to be in them before he turned his life over to Jesus. Sheriff's Department is funded by property taxes. Yes, yes, yes. No man can be a Mason and serve Jesus. State of Kentucky Deputy Department of the Kentucky State is not innocent of their own involvement of their corrupt world because they were aware of what happened way back before we had gotten word. Yep. Most troopers are Masons. Deborah, that's a myth, she says. FOJC Radio on YouTube has a lot of info on Masons. My husband is big into his church. It's like Hotel California. Once you're in the Masons, you can't leave. My great uncle was a Mason. The Masons in my town are connected to helping children by fundraising through circuses. They are usually in city parades. I know our what are they called? They wear the big hats, the funny hats, and they're always in parades. I'm sure one of you'll say it. Probably no one paid property taxes after the flood. They were paying taxes for houses that were gone. That's a really good point. It's a really good point. Let's see. Oh, yay. LS became a new member. Yay. All right, y'all. I'm about to fall over. I'm so tired. My eyes are so red. Staring at this screen. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining us again tonight. And we will do another live tomorrow, and we'll dig down into some of the documents and the indictment. I've got the indictment and stuff. All right, y'all. Well, you have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay? Thank you so much for everybody for being here. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you did, and leave us a comment. All right? Well, y'all have a great rest of your night. We love you. God bless you. Bye.